All right. Well, welcome here to Coal Region Discontent. Today we have a special guest with us. His name is John Ventre, calls himself John Never Socialist Ventre, running for governor of Pennsylvania here in 2022, hopefully to take out Mr. Wolf. Now, you can always find us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on anchor.fm/Coal Region Discontent. All right, Mr. Ventre. I know you're from Greensburg out that way.
Yeah, that's where I live now, is in Greensburg. I originally grew up in New York, actually very close to Trump. As a matter of fact, people who know me say, John, you're the closest thing Pennsylvania has to Trump.
Yeah, and the media has not been nice to Trump, especially lately. They don't want to mention that everybody else's real estate is bad in New York, but they want to mention his. There's 18% of real estate and commercial real estate is up for rent right now, but they're talking about his. So,
well, the media, you can't believe one thing they say. I'm wearing my shirt. I don't know if you can see it here. My Never Socialist shirt. I was at a protest this morning at Hempfield High School regarding masks. So I'm just, because that's what I go by, is Never Socialist. You can't believe one thing that the media, that the newspapers that they tell you.
Yeah, I did see that you were at that high school. I think I found a picture of it on Facebook. I think you posted. Yeah. There seems to be a lot of Republican candidates running for the gubernatorial race here. What do we have? Lou Barletta, Joe Gale. I think Parnell's running.
Parnell Senate. Barletta, Gale, Jason Mon, Jason Ritchie, myself. There's a guy from Nigeria. He lives closer to you, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think there was just another senator said he's running. I think there's 8 right now that have announced that they're running.
Now, are you guys going to have like they usually do, like a roundtable type thing, or they just do that for the presidential race? I don't know exactly how it's going to work this year with everything with the COVID restrictions and things.
Yeah, well, my guess is they'll do that. The election, I think it's in May, or maybe it's April. I thought it was May next year. But, they'll probably do that a few weeks before, because they want to see, first of all, the first thing everybody's got to do is they have to get signatures in 10 counties. So if you don't do that, you're not on the ballot. So I think they're going to wait to see who actually gets on the ballot. My guess is there'll be maybe 5 that are actually on the ballot. And then they'll, imagine 3 weeks before they'll do some sort of a debate, which is fine with me.
Okay. I know they like to they like to see if people are going to go at each other, but unlike Democratic politicians, Republicans don't usually go as hard at each other about it, because we're usually all on the same team sometimes.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I look at this race, and I've met all the candidates except for the most recent one, who I think is a state senator. And you get what I would call to-me rhinos, right? Mm-hmm. These are political people who really just want to play center, left, get along nice with the liberals. You have patriots like myself, that we were the original Tea Party, and we're not taking anything the left has to dish out. So there's like, there's 3 groups really of what you got, and then you got your current politicians that are politicians. And so there's 3 groups. And do you want to vote for that group that didn't know not to give us mail-in ballots, Act 77? They voted for it, and they didn't know it was going to be a problem. So those are the 3 groups you got. And I'm not with the current politicians, and I'm not with the rhinos. So I've separated myself. And from what I've seen, there might only be 2 of us that aren't, that are actual patriots.
Well, I mean, I have seen your governing model, if you may, about the way you want to run with taxes and act towards, I probably joke liberalism, but I know what you mean. There's a lot of rhinos out there. I mean, a lot of the people that I know are tired of the the older politicians that have been in politics or been in our congressmen or governors for, or congressmen for 20, 30 years, and they're just sitting back being passive and letting everything, hoping it'll fix itself when it's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, there's three groups. You got your patriots that we have our patriot groups that are supporting us. You got your current politicians, and then you got your fake, to me rhinos that as soon as the going gets tough, they take middle path left and try to appease. And the time for appeasing the left passed in 2016. That's over with.
Well, I mean, they did show their true colors here from 2016 on, and really showed them here in 2020. But
Absolutely.
with all the other candidates running, like Lou Barletto, all them, I did read your plan. Like I said, there wasn't really anything I didn't like about it. And if you could, maybe you'd like to explain your plan and show us a little bit what sticks out about you above the other candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you can put the plan up, if you can, if not, but one of the differences on the front, when they get my handout card, my palm card, is, I've got an executive background. That's who I am. 35 years at UPS, but 26 at an executive level. I was 29 years old when I got promoted in Brooklyn and Queens, which is probably the worst place to work. But what you see there mainly is that you see a whole bunch of boards and charities that I've been a board member, charities I've worked with, other things. I mean, I even listed that I'm a part-time actor, author. I wasn't going to list that, except the first two newspaper articles written about me brought it up. I mean, I didn't think that was pertinent. Then I started thinking about it, and I said, well, you know what? What does that show? It shows creativity. Something that's really lacking in a lot of these candidates. I've written 10 books, 3 research papers, 5 movies, 7 TV series, about 35, 36 episodes. You can't write books, and they're mostly novels, but you can't be a dull person and write books. So what you get on the front with the resume is an executive resume, very results oriented and very creative. Now on the back, when people get a hold of this, it's a funny thing. Like, some people don't know who I am, but after I speak and I go through my plan, I haven't had one person tell me they don't like my plan. I mean, I nail it. And I think I can do that because I put out this Never Socialist newsletter. I've been doing it since last February. I'm up to issue 122 coming out this Thursday. And I search for the articles you don't see in the mainstream news. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff out there. And even what other states are doing. I watch Florida and Texas and incorporate some of their ideas. So, basically with my plan, I broke it down into restructure, financial, education, and social. And it's a shame. Social's the biggest part of it, that you got to deal with this insanity that's out there right now. But if you look at the restructure and a lot of the stuff I say, there's also a hidden meaning behind it. It's not all obvious on the front, and I'll tell you some of them why. The first one is, we got to cut back. We got to save some money to do the financial stuff. So we have one of the largest governments in the country with 253. So I say we have 67 counties. So we'll have 67 state reps and 11 senators. So that becomes 78. So from 253 to 78. But then some people say, well, how did you come to that? I said, well, there's 67 counties. You have 1 per county. But my ulterior motive is Republicans have 80% of the counties. So of the 67, we will win 53, 54. See, I took a page out of the Progressive Handbook, not on how to cheat, but how to not play fair. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to change this so we never lose. That's what they're trying to do with HR 1. So I think, as far as PA goes, don't base it on population, base it on territory, 1 per county. We have 53, 54 of the counties, but we don't have Philly and we don't have Pittsburgh and we don't have Erie. And I don't think we have Allentown either. So the 4 population centers we don't have, but we have the rest of the state. So we have 80% of the counties, but we probably have, we have 600,000 less voters. We may only have 45% of the voters.
I know my area is predominantly, if not Republican, conservative, or like civil libertarian.
Well, then the other thing, this Act 77, which I was one of the first people through my newsletter and Facebook, I went after these state reps. How could you vote for that? Why would you champion a talking point that belongs to the left? Why would you do that? And the answer I got back was, although Trump lost, like that was no big deal, although he lost, we gained 3 downstate positions. Who cares? You gave away the president. The problem, maybe the governor, it's going to be very hard to win. The attorney general, the Supreme Court in the state. It's unbelievable. But because I'm a subscriber to Judicial Watch, I knew, and we had a town hall meeting, that there's 800,000 inactive voters in Pennsylvania. 800,000. Why wasn't that the first thing you addressed before you changed the voting procedures? Why would the ballots, 800,000 ballots out there that are inactive, that they can fill out ballots and insert them into the system? That should have been number one. And they didn't even know anything about it. Oh, there's 800,000. Philadelphia has about half of those. And do you know how many they cleaned up when Judicial Watch sued them 2 years ago? 17. 17 out of 400,000. They knew they were going to use that as the way that they were going to ballot harvest and insert ballots into the system. So we're going to clean up the voter rolls. We're going to go back to voting with ID. I know it's easy to vote by mail. I mean, I was for the primary, I was by mail. That's not what I want to do. You have to go to the poll and you've got to vote, especially in the general election. So we're going to go back to voter ID.
Well, it definitely does show commitment if you show up to the poll and not just write a piece of paper. That's how easily it happened over the last election, if you want to call it an election.
People get, because something's easy, they say, oh, that's great, but we don't want easy, we want secure. And mail-in ballots is not secure. I mean, it's very easy to fill it out and mail it in, great. But there's so much that's left open for cheating, and that's what happened. Trump did not lose a 680,000 vote lead at 1 a.m. and then lose it over the next 2 days. That's just not possible that happened. So that's the first part. And there's some other points in there that are important, but I'm not going to cover those. So that's restructuring. Under financial, I say take a page out of Trump's book. And the way you're going to jumpstart Pennsylvania is by reducing the business tax. It's not property tax yet, and it's not state income tax. Those come later. If you want to jumpstart the state, you reduce the business tax. And the way I do it, and this is how my mind works, because I'm very creative, I watched Wolf and everything he does, like today with the schools, with wearing masks and all of that. It's one size fits all across the state. And he goes, whatever's good for Philly, that's good for Sharon, PA, Mount Pleasant, PA. Well, that doesn't fit a lot of parts of the state. Like I said, a lot of it's rural. So my plan is you have a 2-tier tax code. Southeast PA drops 30% in business tax from 9.9 to 7. The rest of the state, which is more rural and it's not as successful as Southeast PA, they have higher cost of living, homes, pay, what they get paid. So the rest of the state drops 50%. So the bulk of the state, probably 80% of the state gets a 50% reduction. the Southeast gets a 30% reduction. You will hear a sucking sound out of the Northeast as jobs and businesses come to PA. And that's where everything flows from. It's got to be the business tax, not property taxes and not the personal income tax. And then later, as we have a surplus, you're going to reduce property taxes. I don't think the state tax is that high at 3.14 or 07, whatever it is. But the other thing I want to do is registrations. When you buy something in the state, you got to register it every year, and now it's every other year. I've got 2 snowmobiles, 2 jet skis, 2 trailers, 2 cars. It's like every month I get a new registration form to fill out. And that keeps these government employees working to process that. And a lot of these are $26, $23. Well, it probably costs 10 to 12 to process it. So what are you really getting? So I say registrations is one time. You buy your car, you register it. You sell your car, the new person registers it. That's when you pay a fee. And then you get rid of the state employees that are processing all of this. Because you got to cut back size of our government and the number of employees. And every department, almost every, will have to cut back 5%. Go back to our budgets from 2018, 2019. We have almost a $40 billion budget. And when I get in there, I'm going to tell them 38 billion, that's our budget. Now you figure it out. That's 5% reduction. That's what we're going to do under the financial. And we've got to cut the tolls and the gas tax in this state also by 30%. So that's how I'm going to approach the financial side of it. And I know that's going to work. It's basically what Trump did when he cut the business tax. He also gave the people a small reduction, but it was the business tax that was a huge reduction, and that got everything going and people being hired.
That raised wages, and that gave more opportunities to people to work.
The next area is education. And, with battling what you saw with today, with kids having to wear masks that don't work, he has proven to us, along with the teachers, right, that we need school choice, that you pay your property taxes, whatever it is, $500, $800, and you get a voucher, and you can go wherever you want. You want to go to the Catholic school, you want to go to the Protestant school, you want to go to a cyber school, you go wherever you want. It's school choice. You're going to have a lot less kids in public schools, and I think that's what everybody's seeing, and that's what they want. But what's the ulterior motive on doing that? Who supports Democrats? The teachers union. So you got less people in public school, you got less public school teachers, you got less people in the teachers union. And so there's a lot of my plans have two motives behind what I'm doing.
It would give schools more incentive to do better, instead of, because that's the problem with the teachers union, is they keep bad teachers and they don't pay the good teachers any more than the bad teachers. So give them a little more incentive.
Well, once you have tenure, it's very hard to get rid of a teacher, and teachers are pressured to change grades. My daughter was a high school English literature teacher for 7 years, and they get pressured by the EEOC to change grades. So, you got to have a merit system in this country. And I like what Trump did right at the end, and he should have done it sooner. It's funny. I talked to my congressman a couple of times. I said, what is Betsy DeVos doing in Department of Education? Why aren't they addressing the socialism in our system? And then this critical race theory in 1619 came out. He did it right at the end with patriotic education, 1776 education. That's exactly what we're going to use. In God we trust, Pledge of Allegiance, 1776 education. Our police officers, God bless them, the liberals make them wear body cams because they don't trust them, right? So what about our teachers that are in school with these socialist ideas, putting down the founding fathers, trying to teach critical race theory, which is really creating racial tension? That's what it stands for. So I say, when you get a complaint on a public school teacher, they have to wear an audio recorder. So now we can go back to it and say, well, yeah, that student said, you said this. The country was founded for slavery, to hide slavery in America. And that's just not true. It was founded for religious freedom mostly and taxation out of England. That's why it was found. It had nothing to do with slavery. That was the system used in every country, in every continent, and in every century.
Well,
Everyone was everywhere.
that
Yeah,
seems funny if they only point out American slavery when
yeah.
slavery was around thousands of years before America. And in fact, there's still slavery going on today in some parts of the world,
Yeah.
whether they want to believe it or not.
Yeah, England was the first one to get rid of it. The United States, I think, when we got rid of it in the Civil War, kind of put the nail in the coffin for the westernized countries. That was the end of it. But I wrote a book to counter the 1619 project. I wrote the 1625 project, talking about Irish slavery. When they first came over 6 years later in 1625, they were slaves. Later, it became indentured servants, but the king there, Ireland had 1.5 million people. He killed 500,000. He sent 335,000 to America and the islands as slaves. 150,000 fled the country, and they ended up with 500,000 for no other reason than they were Catholic and English people were Protestant. So you want to talk about, everyone has gone through a period of craziness and tyranny, but that was there. This country wasn't created just for black slaves. And 350,000 Africans were brought over, 335,000 Irish, but 4.5 million Africans went to Brazil and the islands. And nobody mentions 1 million European girls taken by Barbary pirates and Arabia and brought to the Middle East. 1 million. The girls in the harems were European girls. That's who were in the harems for the sheiks. So, well, we don't talk about that. Nobody even knows about it.
No, they don't want to talk about it, because when they say we're not teaching history, it means that we're not teaching the history that they like.
Yeah, and it's a false history is what it is. So the last column I got here, I'm taking a lot of time, but I got a lot to say, is the social side of it. And I got more points under that, unfortunately. But I'm going to do things where you look at this state, and again, one size fits all doesn't fit. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are very different. They're very liberal. They're very progressive compared to the rest of the state. Okay, look, I'm not saying we're going to have a civil war with them and stuff. So I say, give them what they want, but it's only legal in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. It's not legal in the rest of the state. So originally I said, we'll only have abortion in Pittsburgh and Philly, but not the rest of the state. Then I saw what Texas did is they went to the heartbeat law where abortion is based. So I added that, and it's abortion in Pittsburgh and Philly only, but based on a heartbeat, which is 6 weeks. That cuts out 85% of the abortions. Now, some of the people said to me, well, so you're not 100% pro-life. I said, look, if I can save, we have over 31,000 abortions in PA, 31,000. If I can save 85% of them, I think God will forgive me. I really think he will. And I'll work on the remaining 15% when people understand life starts at the beginning. It's the law of biogenesis. Life comes from life. There was never a moment that child wasn't alive. Even though the heart's not beating yet until 6 weeks, she is still alive. But I'll work on that later. What we're going to do right now is put the bad ideas that come out of California, we're going to leave them in Pittsburgh and Philly, because that's what they want. All bad ideas originate in California. So give it to them in Pittsburgh and Philly, but not the rest of the state. Because let me tell you, where you are, other areas of the state, completely different than Pittsburgh and Philly, completely different,
Not the same at all. No.
Yeah. And then I got other things in here, regarding religious, no laws against religious institutions, no laws against guns. Race and gender is going to be removed from all applications, all employment and college applications. We're going back to a merit system. And what Dr. Martin Luther King said, that we don't judge you based on your skin color. We judge you on your achievements and your accomplishments and your resume. So we're not going to judge you based on whether you're yellow, brown, white. It's based on merit. So we're removing race and gender. And I'm going to take on this social media. What they do, and I'm shadow banned on Facebook in the middle of my campaign. 90% of what I put out there, they don't post because they look for keywords. I got 4,980 people on my page. And if I use the wrong word, like never socialist, or anything like that, boom, it goes out to 50 people. I get 5 likes.
Yeah.
Well, I put the picture today of being out there for the protest. I got over 100 likes on it already. I just put it out because there was no keywords in what I said. And they're shadow banning. So what we're going to do with social media is we're going to make them common carriers. Now, the cake maker can refuse to make your cake because he's a small business, but a common carrier like UPS, FedEx, hotels, they can't refuse you. Even though it's a private business, they cannot refuse you. So the big tech social media will be common carriers, and then they have no choice but to put our stuff out there. Their job is to keep Russia and China from putting fake news out there, not Americans. So that's how we're going to take care of them. We're going to take on cancel culture. If you've never been attacked by them, they move way beyond free speech. You can call me every name in the book on Facebook, whatever. When you start moving that into action, that's where in Pennsylvania, we're going to say, when you move to action and not just speech, you can be charged with harassment. And that's how we're going to take care of the cancel culture. Sports competition in high school is going to be based on gender, birth certificate, gender. And then, welfare. You go 3, 4, 5, 6 generations. These people have always been on welfare. Sorry, that's not what it was meant for. You get 6 years, right, until the kid goes to school. Let's say you get 6 years, but you get a total maximum of 10 years. Whether you have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, the mother gets 10 years once there's more than one kid. That's it. 6 for the first one, total of 10. And, a lot of jobs right now, I see them here. You can't get workers, $17 an hour to work in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of jobs out there for you. You don't need to be on welfare.
Well, no, I was always taught that if you have kids, you should be able to afford them, and you shouldn't be teaching. The welfare system wasn't for someone to teach, like you said, 2 or 3 or 4 generations of your children how to be on welfare. You're supposed to get on your feet, teach them a skill, and hopefully your next generation does better than you did. But people take advantage of so many loopholes.
Yeah, well, I have somewhere I have a graph of the United States by state as to how much they pay in welfare. I think a welfare person in Pennsylvania gets $29,000 a year, or it's $29 an hour, or whatever it might be. I think it's $29,000. So why would you go to work if you're making $29,000? And there are some states that are even higher than that. New York, California, you're getting $45,000 to be on welfare.
Yes, because of their cost of living, everything else.
Yeah.
But it wasn't meant for that. People took advantage of it, just like they took advantage of unemployment this last year. And
Yeah.
I was not one of those people that was on unemployment. I worked the entire time. We make medical stuff where I work. So it's it kind of disheartens you if you see McDonald's employees that work the whole time and it seems like they're disgruntled workers. It's not because they feel like they're just another cog in the wheel. It's like they're serving people that are getting paid more than them to do nothing. And it was forced inflation.
That's the problem. That's why you can't find workers right now. It's like there's an article here in Westmoreland. Well, it's an aging population. Where are the young people? Well, they're not at work because they're getting $300 a week. I think that just ended, And I guarantee you this, the people who didn't go back to work and they collected that stimulus money as long as they could, they're never going to amount to anything in life. If you don't have that drive, that incentive, like I was, God, I got the job at UPS at 20, got married at 21. I bought a house at, I think I was about 27. By the time I was an executive at 29, by the time I was 30, I had everything in life. A lot of these people haven't even started by 30. I had 2 kids too.
Well, the problem is it was the trophy generation. Part of my generation was that participation trophies. There was a sense of entitlement that got given out to this generation, and they feel like everything's been handed to them, just like with abortion or anything else. We're giving them away out of responsibility. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's what it's about. It's a different each generation. 75 years ago, that's 3 to 4 generations. You had the greatest generation. What generation we got right now? The woke generation, the weakest generation. It's sad. I mean, I never got in trouble as a kid out of fear of my father. I wasn't afraid of police. I was afraid of my father growing up in Queens. But you can't do that anymore.
well, there was a time when it was shameful to have children out of wedlock and be
Yeah.
on welfare and things. You hid that. You didn't tell everybody about it.
Well, here's another fact. Welfare destroyed the low-income families and in Appalachia and a lot of the blacks because they have the highest percentage on welfare. But if you look in the 50s, 93% of blacks were married in a family of 4, and they actually had a higher employment rate than whites. So how is this possible? In the 50s, you were better off when you claim it was the most racist time. So now with all this progress, it's all been destroyed. And it's because of welfare. Because if you don't have that, 70% of black kids are out of wedlock births. 70%. It was like 7% in the 50s. Now it's 70% for blacks. That's where your problem is. You don't have that father in the household.
Well, that was the Great Society Act. Lyndon Johnson did
Yeah,
all that.
Johnson and yeah, and then you get Ted Kennedy changed the immigration laws where really Europeans couldn't come here, and he opened up America to everybody because everybody deserved a chance. I can understand that, but culture is culture. And that's what you see now with statues and founding fathers being torn down. Well, these were European Christians, and the people doing the tearing down are not. So that's not their people. That's not their culture. That's part of the problem. That when they opened this up, they didn't think down the road, what's it going to be like?
That's why the Democrats don't like the Constitution, because it is Christian faith based, and that takes away their whole argument, because they want you to have faith in government. They want nothing but government, and they want to be in every part of your lives.
I read a couple of books recently, and it's not really taught even in my generation as to how Christian the founding fathers were. I mean, you knew they were Puritans, and you watch movies, how they always referred to the Bible. These people were fanatically God-fearing Christians. I mean, I think if you could go back in time 400 years, 300 years, I think everybody walking around talking, if you go 2 sentences without mentioning God or morality, I think that's exactly how it was. And it was absolutely entwined into every law. The Bible gave us how we should behave, what's acceptable, and the 10 Commandments, and that's what laws are based on, what Moses came down from the mountain with. It's all based on the Bible. We need, to an extent, get back to that. I think the further you get away from that, the more people think anything goes. If I can get away with it, whatever makes me happy, and if I can cheat or whatever and get away with it, hey, I'm happier now. I got more money. I stole it.
Yep, delayed gratification is non-existent anymore. Everybody wants it now, now, now. That's why when they see big companies getting tax cuts, they don't see that it leads to higher wages and more people working. They see, well, somebody else that has money is not having to pay as much money, but they don't see the benefits right away to them, so they complain about it. But
yeah,
here's another thing. I've heard of a bill that's on the ballot right now that's talking about taking away our vote for a lieutenant governor. Apparently, we're one of the last states that vote for our lieutenant governor, and they're trying to make it that it just gets picked by the party or along those lines.
A lot of states do that, where the governor wins and then he puts his person in. Now, my question would be, and I didn't look at it, is how many times did the governor win, but the lieutenant governor was not the same party? I would think most times if a Democrat wins, he won both. But I don't know if that's true or not. But I kind of let the people vote on both of those. let them vote on the Supreme Court. Let them vote. I mean, all the safeguards built into the Constitution by, Madison, Jefferson, Washington, all of them was to keep it to the people, have small government, but it is always about the people. But three branches that kind of, would keep each other from becoming tyrannical. But you got to let the people do their thing, and then of course, we're not a democracy, we're a republic, because democracies don't work. They can do anything. That's what Sharia law is. It's a democracy. You get 7, 8 guys together, and this is exactly how it works. They see a pretty girl and they say, we deserve to rape her. They rape her. And what they're asked in that in the Middle East is, did you all agree on that? Yeah. Okay. Well, it was democratic, and that's what Sharia law is. You're allowed to do that if the whole group agrees. If they want to stone you, well, look at him. Look at him with his black hair. Look at him. He didn't shave, or he doesn't have a big enough beard there. You and I, they can stone you. If 10 of them say, let's stone him. Okay. Well, that's what they do. That's why democracies don't work. It's representative government. You pick a smarter person than you, hopefully, to be this person, and then she decides what's right.
I do think one of the major problems in this country is that a lot of people don't know anything about the Constitution other than what they hear on mainstream media, and they only use certain parts as long as it feeds their agenda. They're always against it any other time. So
yeah. Well, everything the left does is the opposite of truth. If you really dig into it, well, it's a living constitution. No, it's not. It's written in black and white. They took a lot of time to figure this out, and they did a great job. And it's like everything else that the progressives say, it's a lie. It's the opposite of truth. And I personally believe it's demonic. I think the Antichrist is here in America somewhere. I think we're getting closer to the end of days, and I think he's pulling his strings all over the place, whether it's Soros, whether it's these, politicians, Nancy Pelosi. I think a lot of what's going on is demonic, and the lying part that the left does with everything comes from their leader, the father of lies.
Well, I do believe that when talking about liberals or Democrats in general, Reagan said it best when he said they're not stupid, they just know so much that isn't so. And Trump said it best at his one rally. It says woke goes broke, but then he said anything woke touches turns to shit. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, he just said that. I know that's a good one, but yeah, that's the truth about them, and it's pretty sad,
Okay. Well, where, if you could tell us maybe where you could find your newsletter at, if somebody could sign up for it.
Yeah. Well, the newsletter to sign up is at my site, neversocialistusa.org, neversocialistusa.org. You'll also find there, you could sign up for the newsletter, but you'll find out that I'm the only Republican in America, I swear to God, that's recruiting Asians and Hispanics to the Republican Party. Candace Owens recruits blacks with Blexit. I bought 4 domain names: Hexit for Hispanics, Exit for Asians, Dexit for Democrats, and Never Socialist USA. So you'll read through that. I'm trying to recruit Asians and Hispanics. The Asians have discovered me in Pennsylvania, and I got to find a way to get to the Hispanic community. But that would be one way. And the other way is my website is voteforventre.com. Okay. That's where you'll see everything I stand for, letters to the editor, some stuff maybe from when I was running for county commissioner, but voteforventre.com and neversocialistusa.org.
Okay. Well, we're trying to put together a fundraising event or something so that we can get speaker events / maybe campaign speakers or just general conservative libertarian speakers around my area, because our Republican Party here in Northumberland County, Pennsylvania, just doesn't seem to get together to do anything. And I feel that I need to be out there doing something, because I tell people to get involved, and if I don't get involved, I feel like a hypocrite. So
yeah. Well, what you find with the Republican Party is they have to follow what the state committee tells them. So if they say Lou Barletta, then it's Lou Barletta. They don't get a choice. That's why the patriot groups are better. They're supporting different candidates, but the committee support who I think would be blue bar letters their person, but we can fight that.
Well, all right. Well, John, I'd like to thank you for coming on here. Like I said, when we do have an event, I would hope if you're in the area,
Yeah.
maybe you could show up, or maybe even keep in contact with your newsletter and keep us informed here on how your campaign's going. And I hope to speak to you again before the election.
Yeah, absolutely. If I don't have your email, I don't know if you get my newsletter, just shoot me your email and I'll put you right on the newsletter. And anybody can do that also on Facebook. Just send me your email. I'll put you on the newsletter.
Right. And that's Vote for Ventre on Facebook too, is it not?
Yeah, you can, or just my name. I have 2 pages. John Ventre has almost 5,000 friends. Vote for Ventre, I think, has 1,500. Either way, you can get to me. You'll find me. I'm out there.
All right. And thanks for coming here. And remember, everybody, that you can always find us, like I said, here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on anchor.fm/coalregion-discontent as a podcast. And remember to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you get out there and vote in 2022, because America is the greatest country in the world. God bless.